Hey, welcome back to the Mr. Excel Netcast. Today we have a question sent in by Doug. If you have a question for the podcast, please either leave us a voicemail or drop me an email and we'll get to you on a future podcast. Now, Doug sent in a VLOOKUP question, which we'll get to another day, but his real question is basically an iTunes question. He says, hey, with all these episodes that you have, is there some way to mark which ones are our favorites? Some of the tips he said I already knew, and I don't necessarily need to go back and look at those. We're going to take a quick look in iTunes today at the podcast directory. Now, this is the new version of iTunes. Currently, I think that's 7.02. And what I want to do is right-click in the heading of the podcast directory. Now, of course, on a Mac, that would be Control-click. So we'll right-click, and there's additional columns that you can add to the podcast directory. In particular, I want to add two here. I'm going to add the My Rating column and then also a grouping column. Now, what you do with the My Rating column basically is you can assign anywhere from 1 to 5 stars. So if we click in there and say, all right, well, this was a great podcast, I want to make sure to keep that one. Or, no, I don't think I'm ever going to refer back to this one. I'll keep that one as a 1 star, and then this one might be a 5 star. You also can use the grouping column to add a little keyword. So, for example, if this one was about VLOOKUP, you can leave those notes to yourself. Now, a cool thing to do is to use the Smart Playlist feature. Basically, what you do is go to File, New Smart Playlist, and you can build a dynamic playlist. For example, you could say where the podcast is true, and then add a new rule and say my rating is, and then you would choose 5 stars here. Now, there's a bug on my PC. On this laptop, I can't choose 5 stars. It works on my regular desktop where I could choose 5 stars. We'll click OK, and we have Untitled Playlist 2, so this might be good podcasts. And then once you've hooked up your iPod, you can go into the synchronization settings and say only send the good podcast out to the iPod, save space on the iPod, and things like that. So thanks to Doug for sending in this question. Well, I realize it wasn't necessarily Excel. I think one thing we all have in common is we are podcast listeners, and wanted to pass on that quick tip about iTunes, both setting up your ratings and a custom smart playlist that will continuously update as you change the rating. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time for another netcast from Mr. Excel.